I'm standing here in the vestibule of True Vine Missionary Baptist Church, the church that held the funeral of Charles Oatman on May 13th, 1970. When Charles died, he was 16 and he was a student at A.R. Johnson. And that death left a hole in the lives of a lot of people. This church, relatively small church, was packed to the brim with people coming to mourn his life. So there was a tension in the air at this funeral. But that didn't stop the family from honoring Charles as he well should have been. His casket was a lovely dark bronze, very elegant. It had a satin inlay. And apparently next to the casket was a bouquet, an arrangement of roses in the shape of a heart. And on top of his casket, when he was carried out, were white and red carnations. Charles's death is what prompted people to really rally together against racial injustice, against white supremacy. And while his name may be familiar to some, by and large at the time, all he was a Black boy who'd been killed at the county jail. And so in this video, I'd like to talk to you about who he really was. He was not Charles Oatman, as some news reports listed it. He was not Robert Oatman, as others had it. He was Charles Oatman, and he was born in Burke County to Katie Mercier. When he was about 2, Cornelia and Grover Oatman adopted him and brought him here to Augusta. They didn't live too far from this church, and they were parishioners here, regular members. Lenton Oatman was his uncle, and he has memories of Charles playing with his hair when he came to visit one time. He just woke up and found little fingers playing in his hair and met his nephew for the first time. Charles was a delicate boy. He was always small for his age, and he was also intellectually disabled. He had about the capacities of a second grader. It took him a good long time to learn how to tie his shoes, according to Lenton. Lenton had a special relationship with Charles. They would go fishing, and Charles really enjoyed just sitting at the riverside. He also, with his uncle, would go to the corner store for sweets. And that was a very special thing, a secret between him and his uncle, because like most mothers, Mrs. Oatman didn't like her son having too many sweets. Lenton describes Charles as a particularly sensitive boy. If a car backfired, a door slammed, someone yelled, he would curl up. He might jump or hide, but startling noises were difficult for him. Too much stimulation was hard for him to handle. When Charles died and his funeral was brought here, and his body was brought here, this sanctuary was filled to the brim. It was packed wall to wall. Outside of it, there were National Guardsmen on the roof. Surrounding the church, there were also policemen and reporters trying to sneak looks in. The National Guard said that they were concerned that there would be another riot as a result of the emotion coming out of this funeral. But there was also a very big concern about white vigilantism, that there may be firebombs or attacks at this church, because that had happened many times in the past. Thankfully, neither of those things happened, And the family took Charles's body to Flat Rock Cemetery in Matthews, Georgia, where he was laid to rest along with many other Oatmans. And his parents, Cornelia and Grover, lay just beneath him. And that's where he will be, as well as in my heart, and I hope yours as well.
Remove thy foot. I tried that, but I can't help it, Lord.
He came back and told me this It's true, Mama. He said to walk tall and walk strong. That's what you said. She don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do that. Good God.